That's not what I want. Good Lord. I hope I can edit this. Okay, everybody. I promised you all that I would do a recording, excuse me, of some of the things that we're struggling with in these first couple of chapters. I'd already started doing this, and I thought it might help everybody to do it. And I'm doing this unscripted, so be patient with me. This is the accounting cycle tutorial. I may have to do more than one video to cover all of this, but at least I'll do the first couple for you. So starting with chapter 1, this asks me to do a bunch of things, and I'm going to hit try again because I've already done them. And first thing it asks you is enter the missing values to balance the equations. Each equation is an independent scenario, so you have to look at the accounting equation, assets equals liabilities plus equity. So what's missing? Missing is assets. Well, if you know these two numbers, you know that this number should be $48,000, if I can do it in my head. You know this number and you know this number, so 30,000 minus 1,000 should be 29,000, so that this balances. And then 51 equals 14 plus something, 37. And we'll see if that's correct. So what it's basically doing here is looking at the equation. If you're hearing panting, it's because Maverick is right next to me and will not go away from my side. Okay. It's showing you the equation and saying, if you know these two parts, you know the other part. It has to balance. So let's check our answer. And it says, great job. You can continue on to the next activity. Balance the basic accounting equation. Match the term to the definition. So we're going to drag the term down here. An economic resource that is expected to benefit the business in the future. Something of value the business owns or has control of. That's an asset. Amount of assets that are left over after the company has paid the liabilities is the company's net worth. That's stockholders' equity. And then debts that are owed to creditors, something the business owes and represents the creditor's claim on business assets. That's liabilities. Those are the definitions of those three terms. Next. 4 items that affect equity. You remember from chapter 1 and chapter 2 that equity is more than just one thing. It's common stock, retained earnings, various things affect retained earnings. Increase or decrease it. I find these things slightly confusing and it won't let me do anything here, so I don't know why. I think because I already did this. Check the answer. Yeah, I had already done this one and I didn't clear it. So assets equal liabilities minus expenses plus revenues minus dividends plus beginning retained earnings plus common stock. I'm going to click try again so that it'll let me fill it in. So again, assets equal liabilities plus, and this is going to be equity. So we're going to fill in a plus, beginning retained earnings minus expenses. I might be wrong with this too. Minus dividends plus revenues. What else have we got here? Plus common stock. Let's see if we're correct. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter what order these were in. They just had to be plugged in. And these are the parts of equity, all of these different things. Next. Again, I'm going to have to hit reset. It's going to make me do that. Okay. Sorry about that. Classify which part of the expanded accounting equation each account title belongs to by dragging the account into the correct bucket. This stuff you should already know, so that's why I'm kind of going quickly through it. So assets. You've got a truck. That's an asset. Common stock should be part of equity. Dividends go under dividends. Insurance expense, it says it's an expense. Salaries payable, anything payable is a liability. So accounts payable are a liability. Utilities payable, liabilities. We know expenses are expenses, so salary expense is going to go there. Rent expense, repairs expense, supplies expense. You only have one revenue, that's your service revenue. Utilities expense I missed. So basically the rest of it should be assets. Prepaid insurance is an asset, prepaid rent is an asset, patents are assets, we'll talk about those in another chapter, and land. Check the answer, and we're correct. Next. Again, try again. Fill in the blanks with the category of the expanded accounting equation. Check your spelling carefully and do not abbreviate. Pearson is a bear about that kind of thing. You have to make sure you spell everything correctly. I may not because I've only got one hand working here right now. The other one is busily petting Maverick, who's being a pain. Okay, so furniture. Furniture is something that is a benefit to the company, hopefully. So that is an asset. Dividends are dividends. And DS? Nope. I also can't see my keyboard. Dividends. Unearned revenue, something that the company owes someone else. They haven't done the work. So that is a liability. L. Darn it. I also have a glare on my keyboard. Common stock. Part of stockholders' equity. Do we have to write the whole thing? Not an S. Sorry about that. I did say I was winging it. Equity. Retained earnings. Also part of stockholders. You can now see how well I type. Holders' equity. Equity. Insurance expense. It's an expense. Service revenue. Revenues. And accounts payable are anything payable is a liability. Okay? Think about what category they belong to. Balance the equation. Enter the missing value to balance the equation. We know this is the equation, so we know that we have to get out our calculator, which is somewhere on here. Calculator. Because I can't do this in my head. 101 plus 51 minus 51, well, it was kind of silly to even add it in, plus 77 minus 80 equals 98. This one's a little trickier. 62,000 equals what's missing. So let's do this. Clear it. I'm going to do, hopefully this will work, 91 plus 75 plus 27 minus 55. That was wrong. Minus 55 equals 138 minus 62. I don't know if this is going to work. Gives me 76. Let's try it. Clear. How to check it? 91,000, not 910. 91 plus 75 minus 76 plus 27 minus 55 equals 62. So you can see I'm not afraid of making a mistake with y'all. Okay, so let's clear that. Again, we can do the same thing here. 115 minus 34 plus, here comes Maverick, 73 minus 99 equals 55. 170 minus 55 equals 115. Why does that not seem like it'll be right? I don't know. Let's check here. Plus 115 minus 34 plus 73. I usually have to do these on paper. It's 170. It was right. Okay, check the answer. Correct. I didn't trust myself on that one. Next. Are we still recording? I hope. Using the expanded accounting equation, calculate and enter the answers for each question. You will need to use the answer you calculate for beginning and ending retained earnings to answer the rest of the questions. Use a minus sign or parentheses for any net loss. Okay. Beginning year assets are 28, liabilities are 16, end of year is 63, end of year liabilities is 25. What's retained earnings at the beginning of the year? Well, just set up your equation to do this. 28, minus 16 equals 12. So beginning retained earnings is 12. And at the end of the year will be 63 minus 25, 38,000. I hope. Correct. Next. Try again. Identify the normal balance for each account by selecting debit or credit. Okay, think about where they are on the equation. This is where it gets tricky. And this is part of chapter 2 as well. Assets over there on the left, debit. Liabilities, normal balance is the positive balance. Liabilities are credits, common stock, credit. Beginning retained earnings, credit. Because dividends are a minus, it's on that side. Revenues are credit, expenses are debits. Hopefully I got that right. Okay, next. Again, try again. Normal balance for each account by selecting debit or credit. So prepaid rent, first thing you're going to do is what kind of an account is it? It's an asset. Assets, debit side. Dividends. Dividends reduce retained earnings, so they have a debit. Salaries payable, that's a liability, so that's a credit. Common stock is over part of equity, that's a credit. Expenses reduce equity, they are a debit. And revenue increases, so it's a credit. Check our answer. Correct. T accounts. Build a T account for each part of the accounting equation. Drag the debit or credit labels to the appropriate sides of the T account. Drag the normal balance label to the correct side of the T account. Label which side of the account increases and decreases that account. This looks seriously annoying. Assets, debit, and that's the normal balance. I think I'm doing this right. Liabilities, credit, normal balance. Are we supposed to be both sides? I have a feeling. I'm not a fan of Pearson. Credit is a positive. Debit would be a minus, and that's the normal balance. For dividends, this side is the positive. It's the normal balance, so the credit would be the negative. Revenues, it's this way. This is the normal balance. Oops. And expenses are the opposite. Credit is a minus. Debit is a plus. And the normal balance. Did I get them all? Okay, check the answer. Whew. Good thing to keep on your cheat sheets, though. That would be a good thing to have. Okay, more practice doing this. I think this is the last part. Build a T account for each part. Again, we're doing more of this. Prepaid rent is what? An asset. So it's going to go over here. The normal balance will be over there, and the credit side is the negative. Common stock, Credit is the positive, and that's the normal. Debit is the negative. Dividends. Debit's the positive. Credit's the negative. Normal balance. Positive side's always going to be normal. Depreciation expense is a debit. I'm getting leaned on because it's an expense. That's the normal balance. Unearned revenue is a credit. That's a liability. So debit would be that way. I wonder if it's going to yell at me for having it upside down. And service revenue, also credit, is the normal balance, and the debit is the minus. Check the answer. Okay, and then the proof mastery thing gives you, just makes you do a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, what is that? I don't know why it's doing that, but it's annoying. Proof mastery. And I'm going to pause this for a second. Okay. This one just, it says it's going to submit it for a grade. Don't worry about it. It's not going to happen. Partial accounting equation has been given below. Complete it by dragging the items that would affect equity into the expanded accounting equation. This is just like the one we just did. Identify whether it increases or decreases. So assets equal liabilities plus revenues minus expenses minus dividends plus beginning retained earnings plus common stock. That is the expanded equation. Enter the missing value. We've just done a bunch of these. Assets equal liabilities, etc. Isn't this the same one we just did? Could be. 96, I'm being lazy, plus 69 minus 39 plus 76 minus 64 equals 138,000. Find this number. We're going to go 110 plus 104 plus 103 minus 16 equals 301 minus 291 equals 10,000. And then I like to double check, as you've seen. So we're going to go 111, not 111, 111 plus 104 plus 10, oops, sorry, minus 10 plus 103 minus 16. I have a feeling I screwed this one up. Let's start over. 111 plus 104 minus 10 plus 103 minus 16 equals 292. Something's wrong. So is this 9? Oh, it should be 11. Let's try that. Okay. Again, I think I had 110 instead of 111 for that one. Okay, clear. 76 minus 96 plus 50 minus 12 equals 18. 7 minus 18 equals 39. Okay, we'll check it. Clear. 76 plus 39 minus 96 plus 50 minus 12. This one's right, I'm giving up. It's 57. Okay. Fill in the blanks with the category of the expanded accounting equation. So copyright we haven't talked about, but copyright is an asset. Dividends are dividends. Unearned revenue is a liability. We owe it. Expenses are expenses, if you can spell it. Common stock is stockholders' equity. Expenses are expenses. Revenue is revenues. And a payable is always a liability. Build a T account. We just did this too. Prepaid rent, what is it? It's an asset. Has a debit balance. That's the normal. Credit side is the negative. Common stock's the opposite. Credit side's positive, that's the normal. Debit side's the negative. Dividends, opposite of that. Normal balance is there. Credit is the negative. Depreciation expense, and expense is an expense. Normal on the debit side. Credit's the negative. Salaries payable, it's a liability. The debit side's the negative, and revenue, it's the same. And the debit is the negative. Okay, now we got to calculate the answers. We already did this one too for each question. 28 minus 19 is 9, I think. Can't do these things in my head. 8 minus 19 equals 9,000. 62 minus 25 is 37. Okay, submit for grade. We did so well. Okay, you can review, you can do it again, or return home. I'm going to return home because that took 22 minutes, and I will do the second part as a second video. Sorry about this. Maverick is bumping my arm. Thank you.